All right, Miles, let's talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide. Look, it has been one heck of a little bit of a rocky at times offseason for Alabama. And that's only because, in my opinion, their standards are as high as they always are coming out of Tuscaloosa. But we've got some great news in the transfer portal that I think Alabama Crimson Tide fans will be really excited about as they look to start building momentum as they head into the regular season.
Yeah, Nick, players have gone, players have come, but I think Alabama is going to be really excited about the story that we have for them today. It's going to, a little sneak peek. It's about the defensive side of the ball. And I want to go ahead and get into our question for today and ask the Alabama fans who on the defensive side of the ball, specifically defensive backs, corners, safeties, who's been your favorite Alabama DB of all time? Let us know in the comments below. I'm partial to Marlon Humphrey. Being a Baltimore Raven, I really think he was an excellent player and turned out really well in the NFL. But let us know who your favorite Alabama DB of all time is in the comments below. But Nick, what is the latest big news out of Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, we're talking defensive backs, and that's obviously been a mainstay of this Nick Saban defense for the better part of the last 2 decades. And the Alabama Crimson Tide have added some depth and potentially a big time player to that secondary. If you want to go ahead and throw out the report, Miles, I'll read from it. This is from Hayes Fawcett over at On3 Sports. Great follow on Twitter, by the way. Highly recommend it. But the report is former Louisiana cornerback Trey Amos tells me he has committed to Alabama. The 6'1", 195-pound cornerback will have 2 years of eligibility remaining. This is one of the best available players in the transfer portal rankings. All right, Miles, this is a huge get for, I think, a couple obvious reasons. I think the biggest one, and I know a lot of Alabama fans, and we've been hearing it in the airwaves all the time. It's like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen at the quarterback position? Who's going to be the guy? A lot of flux there. We don't know if, is Buckner going to be a guy who can fix it? What's Reese doing as a new OC? How's this all going to shake out? A lot of questions there. But I think Alabama has enough talent on the offensive side of the ball that I think in the end, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to pick a guy who will fit their scheme and their talent, what they're going to do on offense, and I think it will work out in the end because Alabama just has the talent on offense to hang points on anybody. I think for me, the problem for Alabama has been their defense, frankly, last season. And people want to blame Bill O'Brien, and that's fair. He did not have a great year as an offensive coordinator. But if the 2 losses for the Crimson Tide, they gave up 52 points to the Tennessee Volunteers, and they gave up 32 points, including the game-winning drive and game-winning 2-point conversion at LSU. Oh, I'm sorry, against LSU. So there you go. You have 2 games where your defense was totally terrible. Or if you win one of those games, you're going to the SEC championship game. If you win both of those games, it doesn't matter what happens in the SEC championship game. You're going to the college football playoff. And you don't even need to have an elite defense, right? You give up 52 points. You lost 52-49 against Tennessee. If you just weren't terrible and you gave up, say, 35 points, you win. Same thing against LSU. You don't need to have a shutout defense. You don't need to have like an 08-09 Alabama defense. You just need to have a defense that isn't terrible, that gives up 21 points. And then you win the game and you go to the SEC championship game, probably the college football playoff. That's all Alabama's really missing. And we know the quarterback position is going to be an issue, but I think that'll work itself out. Solving the defense, in my opinion, is the bigger issue against top flight talent. And I think this addition here from Louisiana Lafayette gives them another quality depth piece to just round out that secondary. All the ammo they can have on defense is going to be critical for them in the big time matchups in the SEC. And I think getting a guy like Amos here, one of the better defenders and frankly, one of the better players remaining in the transfer portal, was a huge get for Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. Miles, give me your thoughts on this move and just everything with Alabama right now.
Yeah, Nick, Alabama has a pretty solid DB room right now. They look good, but they lost a lot of depth this offseason. There's a lot of guys that left, but pickup of a guy like Amos, who's probably one of the best cover corners in the Sun Belt last season. I think he was really, really good. And not only that, he has very good speed. He has elite, like Power 5 level speed, Power 5 level size, physicality, and he has shown the ability to make a move on the ball if he need be. So I think he is, obviously, they say he's probably one of the better corners in the portal at the time, the best corner in the portal at the time of the pickup. I think this is a big add because if anyone goes down, you have a guy who's extremely talented, can step right back up into the roster. Or if he proves himself to be even better than expected throughout the next few practices, summer workouts, anything like that coming into the season, he works himself into the roster. I think he's a guy that's deserving of a spot there. He just hasn't had the ability to prove himself quite yet on the elite SEC Power 5 type of talent. But this guy has all of the measurables, has all of the ability to come out there. He was an elite athlete in high school, second place runner-up in state, and then state championship long jumper. So he's got the explosion in his legs. He's got the ability to come up and get the ball if he needs to. I think this guy's a really good fit, and I think Nick Saban and co can really wrangle him in and make him a very, very, very good player in this Alabama defense. But I agree with what you said. The defense is the key to this season for Alabama. It's got to get as good as it can get, and having depth, having be able to rotate corners, being able to put 4 or 5 corners out on the field if need be, that is where they need to be, because you guys got like Malachi Moore, who can be a rover type of corner guy. You got Terrion Arnold, who can be like more of a strong safety position. You have all kinds of talent at this room, and you need the right guy to fit into the right spot. And that is why I think a guy like Amos is a pretty big add for Alabama.
And especially, and we talked about this a lot last season. I remember watching college football. It just feels like it's become an NFL game. Or everybody seems to be running air raid offenses where every offense is throwing out 3 or 4 wide receivers, and a lot of these quarterbacks have so much control. Tennessee was a great example of it. Of course, Alabama itself, LSU is getting back to that level as well. Ole Miss does it. A&M's trying to become that. Like every major significant contender in the SEC is basically playing like an NFL kind of version of offense with a lot of playmakers at every position. Depth matters, Mize. You need to have the ability to throw out 3 or 4 quality corners. You brought up a great point. I think Amos is a guy who can fill in a role, whether it's the first corner or the 4th corner. We'll have to see how it shakes out, but he's definitely going to fill an important role in this Alabama defense, and this is a massive get for this football program.